Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is episode 5 of the Tiger King that we're going to be reviewing, as the title suggests. Also, a little bit of a warning before we start. This video has to do with suicide, so if you guys are sensitive to that subject matter, click off. And if you hear that screaming in the background, I had Tubby, one of my orange cats out, for a walk early this morning, and he's decided that he needs to go back out again. He loves it outside, but he's not going back outside. So, sorry Tubby. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed making these. There should be more coming out fairly soon in this kind of style.
Tiger King, episode 5. Was it make Joe exotic again? Make America exotic again?
And I think it speaks on two things from the plot of this episode, because it tackles Travis's suicide and also the very, I guess, there's no gun rules at Joe Exotic's place when it comes to where he might shoot them, how close he might shoot them to someone. It's amazing.
So this point will take up over half of the points I have written down. So coming from someone who owns a lot of guns and who has grown up around guns, and I know, honestly, you've grown up around guns too, from hunting and stuff like that.
I was Sig Sauer trained at my old job that I worked at, where I was a summer student for security at a local power plant from where I'm from. I will say I'm not a gun fan now. I won't probably ever own one, we'll see. And I live in America now, so America has some scary gun laws sometimes, but I know Marcus feels differently about that. But so I guess that speaks volumes as to why you're concerned.
Unironically, look, I am very much so the person that's like, okay, if somebody is free and they're walking around the streets, they should be able to own whatever they want. The way Joe Exotic literally just shoots guns into the ground nearby people. There's several clips of him right next to another human being blowing a hole into the ground with no care as to could it ricochet, could a piece of dirt fly up and hurt that person or anything like that. No, there's no thought about that. It's just, I'm just going to shoot this gun into the ground right next to this other human being that he clearly cares about, because that's one of his husbands. Yes, I said, if you guys haven't been keeping up with right now, one of his husbands, because this is a polyamorous relationship. This gets wild, man.
It's wild.
Elephant in the room. Content warning ahead. Suicide. If you guys are not wanting to hear anything about suicide, one of the guys ends up killing himself. One of his husbands ends up killing himself. Unfortunate. Regardless of how you swing it, it's a very sad episode. This episode is very sad, aside from Joe's political campaign, but which is just out to left field somewhere, over there somewhere. It speaks volumes that when the man killed himself in front of several other employees, they didn't think anything of it when he pulled a gun out and put it to his head.
Oh, because one of them said every morning sometimes you'd wake up with a gun in your face from that same guy, because he just there were no, that's wild to me, because he says at one point too, that same morning right before he killed himself, he had pointed the gun at the guy and then said, it can't fire without, I can't remember what it was.
It's a Ruger, it can't got a clip in it, it can't fire. That's what he said.
And that only shows you how shooting into the ground at someone or whatever, it can end in fatalities. It's ridiculous how careful you have to be when using guns. That's so silly.
Pump the brakes. The guy that they're interviewing is a libertarian. So he's clearly very much so in the same kind of camp that I am, as far as gun ownership and all the rest of that crap. If I was sleeping on the site that I was working at, if someone woke me up with a gun pointed to my face, I would initially think of that as a threat, and I would attack that person with everything I had, because I thought I was going to die. Why? First off, why on earth would you point a gun at someone, regardless whether it was loaded or not? Second off, it ain't got a clip in it. First off, that's totally wrong, because the type of gun you're talking about doesn't take clips, it takes magazines. And third off, Ruger makes several guns that take clips and magazines and are single shot. So what it means by it doesn't have a clip in it so it can't fire doesn't mean anything to me if you just pull it on me while I wake up. I'm so lost on this episode as far as why anybody would let this go on when there is such a negligence for human life at this point, because it's just kind of thrown around. Like there's the idea of people throwing themselves in kind of like the mercy of the tiger and stuff like that. And like, yeah, if you are a massive conservationist and you're passionate about these animals, like Jane Goodall, like Diane Fossey, throwing your lives into the hands of these animals, I can really understand that. What I can't understand is throwing your lives into the hands of the workers for these animals that are just like, hey, here's a gun, wake up, homie. It's like, no!
When it comes to things like that, like, how they were arguing in the last few episodes of like, in order to make people care, they have to see the animals, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if, Marcus, you went to the same talk to see Jane Goodall as I went to, but there were no physical chimps at that talk.
Yeah.
In fact, she showed us a very emotional video of them re-releasing a chimp back into the wild, and the chimp coming back and didn't even know her and came back and hugged her, and it was like a spiritual connection. Like that chimp knew that Jane Goodall has been saving their species for like almost like 60 to 70 years at this point. That woman's amazing. And to make us care, I care so much. I cry every time I watch that video because I've watched it since then. It's you don't have to see the animal. Like, you don't have to pet the animal to have a connection to that animal. Just bothers me.
You don't have to come into a physical confrontation or a physical touch with that animal in order to say, hey, I want to take care of that animal. I still agree with the old school Steve Irwin belief of you have to see the animal to really care. I believe in that. I believe in zoos. I believe in responsible zoos. I believe in responsible keeping of these exotic animals and these endangered animals and responsible breeding of both of those things. However, I don't agree with touching the animal as far as that goes. Everything should be a no touch. Almost no, like the animal can't even see you from where you're looking on it from, just in case you have to re-release that animal into the wild.
Obviously, people's lives don't matter at all anymore. Animals don't matter at all to this man at all. Or I think even some of his workers at a certain point they get hit. Especially you can see, like, from the first episode, he told us that his gun was for people. And it's just for people, even though he works at an exotic animal zoo, that gun's to protect his animals and blah, blah, blah. Well, in this episode, didn't we see him shoot his gun almost into one of his cats?
He shot it at his cat. You can't change my mind. He shot it at his cat.
You're in a life or death situation, but you're in that life or death situation because you're an idiot and you got into a tiger cage. I don't care if you raise that tiger. I do not care. You got into that tiger cage with three or four tigers, and you're spouting off about your presidency. Like, there's a point where the cats break. Like, they're still wild animals.
He was complaining about how somebody put cologne on his boot or something like that. No, that's complete bullcrappy poo-poo, forgive my French, but the cat probably just had enough of you being inside of its enclosure. It smelled you, and fun fact, where our feet are massive sweat glands and bacteria, so it really smelled you. So it was like, hey, that's really you down there. And it bit a hold of you, and it was like, hey, let me just show you what it's been like for a little bit, and dragged you around. The second you shot it, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, right, I forgot, Well, the fact that he even had the idea to pull his gun and shoot, I've been in a lot of situations with animals. Never have I been like, God, I wish I had a gun.
And you'll see at the end of the season, I think there's a solid reason for the fact that he pulled his gun so quick on those cats. Like, there's a lot about Joe Exotic that people have totally glazed over that is just freaking wild.
Honestly, my attitude, you guys are going to be able to see this, my attitude changing from Joe to right now. My attitude has changed so much for Joe Exotic. It hasn't changed for Doc. I've hated Doc since day one. Let the record show I've hated Doc since day one. Which, another reason, why is nobody talking about him? It's all just a power move. Everything him and Joe are doing is a power move. There's no one in the exotic animal business I've talked with that is a sane human being or a good human being that I've talked with that's been like, let me take these vanity shots with these animals. It's all been pictures of the animals in their environment, in their enclosure, doing stuff away from them, maybe feeding, maybe just chilling out, maybe swimming, you know? It's never been shots of like, well, here I am, you know, I'm holding up the bottle like this, and the animal's got to come to me for nourishment. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's almost sexualized in a way with their power trips, and I don't like it. Both these people make me want to take a shower. It got into the idea of Joe manipulating the people that he's having sex with for meth, for drugs. I think Doc's been doing that just for money.
What's your animal doing? Oh, God.
Tubby's back. Tubby's back on the garbage can right now. You guys can see him. Tubby!
Oh! Where is he going?
Well, he thinks the food's back there. So I've got him on a diet right now, and he thinks the food's back there. Tubby eats 24/7. If you don't take the food up, he will eat 24/7.
You see a real tiger, IRL. He's so soft. He's going to be angry. He says hello.
But look at the belly dance.
And then from this episode that we had no points on, my last point is that parade. That parade was like one of the most exploitative things I've ever seen, with the cats on display. Yeah. I honestly think the cats are drugged when he tells Dylan, who I firmly believe is kind of the latest victim in this saga, that no, they won't bite you. Well, why won't they bite you? Because according to like scientific studies, they definitely at that age should be biting you. That's why the cubs aren't able to be pet or passed around at that age. You know, like those were big cubs. And no animal wants to be in a setting where there's a loud music, lots of people, and like strobe lights going on. Like that was crazy.
Yeah, there were a couple of close-ups of the animals where they would have their eyes shut for a while and they would open their eyes again and their eyes would be crossed or they would be super glazed over. And I don't know if anybody's watching this who has worked in a veterinary setting, someone like me who has, when you have drugged a cat, whether it's to neuter them, spay them, or do whatever surgery you need to do on them, maybe it's a life-saving surgery, I don't know, that's what they look like when they're blinking. Their eyes are crossed, or their nictitating membrane has gone halfway over their eyes and they can't quite get their eyes all the way open. There were several tigers that were shown that couldn't do what a normal tiger or a normal cat should be able to do. We've kind of hinted at it before that, like, oh, well, you know, maybe some of the cats are drugged, but these cats were definitely drugged, especially seeing as they were on parade, which even an animal that's used to people being around and used to some loud noises, you put them on parade and you put them with a bunch of strobe lights and a bunch of different other colored lights and a bunch of people screaming and a bunch of people jumping up and down and moving and stuff like that. You got countless videos on YouTube of horses who have been domesticated longer than most other animals we have that sit on our laps, and they're still like freaking out at these loud noises and these people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to tell me that cat wasn't drugged.
Also, when it came to that whole parade and everything, why were those cats, their coats didn't even look right.
They were greasy. You know? They were greasy is what they looked like.
They were greasy. Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a healthy cat's coat look greasy, ever.
No, me either. So the whole thing didn't look right. So it was a sad episode.
Is there anything else you want to say about it?
That's all I got.
All right, well, that's it. I'm going to film the outro on my actual camera real quick.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Really means a lot. I've like quintupled my, that was a $5 word, wasn't that? My viewership over the past 28 days, and the amount of people interacting with my videos, and it means a lot to me. So thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Remember to always take the stairs, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.